This is Would Evie Drive It, a tiny little show on our channel where we let Evie judge the cars.
Would I drive an Audi S3?
Hell if I know, but first, information explosion!
Let's start this off with emotion factor.
Are you moved by the style of the Audi S3?
I am. It feels playful. I like it.
This is the sporty version of the A3, so that S lets you know that it's a little bit sassier. Maybe that's what the S stands for.
Ooh.
But there are visual cues that remind you that, oh yeah, there's a little bit of fun potential here.
It's very angular in here. Everything is laid out in a way that's very intuitive. Normally when I'm in a vehicle that seems elegant, it's also very confusing.
Yeah, there's nothing more elegant than confusion.
But in this, I feel like I naturally know where things are. I love this handle. It's so easy to grab.
Oh, that's interesting. I wasn't sure how you'd feel about that. So you're into the handle. What about this region right here? It's very driver focused.
It is. I don't get why the gauge cluster needed epaulets, but whatever.
Oh, you're talking about the vents there?
Yes, I associate epaulets with Janet Jackson.
It's Audi S3 if you're nasty. Okay, it sounds like you generally like the look of the S3. How do you feel driving it?
This shocked me, especially since you said this was based on the same platform as the Golf R, which I felt like was way too much car for me. I think it's because I'm out of practice using a manual transmission. I really enjoyed driving this.
Okay, so pop a dual clutch in to the MQB platform, and you have something that's a little bit more approachable. Maybe you're spending a little more time thinking about the steering.
Yes.
and how you're driving rather than the shifting part of the equation.
Absolutely, and I like that you can adjust this so that the steering is light, but the suspension is a little sportier, and it also sounds very sporty.
And just as we go around these corners here, I'm getting the sense that you are enjoying it because these are zippier than normal Evie speeds.
I really like driving this.
As you might have noticed in the information explosion, this thing has a little more than 300 horsepower. Did you find that there was enough power for your needs?
I definitely did. I had a little trouble applying the power smoothly when I first got in. I think it might be because of the turbo lag. I would just inelegantly mash the pedal and not a lot would happen. But now that I'm applying it a little more smoothly, it's working better.
And your expectation that you know the power will come, you just have to give it a beat. You're kind of learning the car, and that's the kind of thing that would happen if you actually bought it. What about ride and handling?
I felt really comfortable taking this speedily around corners.
So it's sportily sprung, I suppose, which is a very fun way to say that. But what do you think about ride quality? Like, is it too firm?
No.
Okay, great. So we've hit a pretty nice balance of road comfort and sporty dynamics that you find satisfying.
I find this car really approachable, but the limits of it are definitely higher than what I can throw at it, which makes me actually want to be a better driver.
And then what about visibility?
Visibility is pretty good in here for a little sedan with smaller windows.
Nice.
I can see over either shoulder. I feel like I can see out fine. It's good.
Great. So it sounds like you're having a pretty positive emotional response.
I am, but is it family friendly?
What do you think about the space afforded by the Audi S3?
When I first tried to put our girl in the back seat, I actually had to move the front seat forward, which is unusual.
Yeah, I've got a pretty good handle on our kiddo's foot right here. It's very easy access, so there's not a huge amount of front to rear space.
And I had trouble buckling her seat belt. I kept having to pull it over toward me as I buckled, and it didn't really want to go that way. And the opening for the door is a little bit angled, so it's a little tough to get the car seat in as well. The cargo area is a little bit small. What's okay about that, I guess, is that sometimes when you have a really deep, long trunk, anything you put in there goes right to the front and you can't access it. I'm I'm short and I can easily reach all points of the cargo area.
You're not getting away from Sweetie cargo. And one thing I'll note too is that if you do need a lot more space, if you flip the rear seats down, it's a super wide pass-through. You could put really large objects back there, even though the trunk area itself is pretty small.
And it's good that it is split. It's not just one piece. So even if you have a passenger back there, you can still use the larger cargo area.
As for safety, the S3 is not rated by the NHTSA, but it includes a standard suite of lane keeping assist, automatic emergency braking, and 10 airbags. I kind of want to get into a crash just to see where they all pop out from, but
I'll see what I can do, baby.
Yeah, but safety cred is pretty strong on the S3. So what do we think? Is the S3 family friendly?
Like we always say, you can make anything work, but I don't know if I would categorize this as family friendly.
We put the Golf R in the family-friendly category, largely because it's a hatchback. With the sedan body style, it's less friendly. So yeah, maybe not family-friendly, but we could make it work if we were motivated.
For sure. Moving on. Is it mountain-friendly?
Pardon the interruption, but let me very quickly thank the sponsor for today's video, Flying Eyes Sunglasses. We wear them in the helicopter, but we also wear them on the ground. They are incredibly lightweight and very easy to wear all day long. Evie's wearing them right now. The ophthalmic line is her daily glasses. She wears them all the time. Do you love them?
I love them. They're so lightweight. It changes the way I see the world.
And they're incredibly durable. You can do that. They fit under a headset, and they keep our hearing very, very good. If you'd like aviation-grade sunglasses of your very own, consider buying some Flying Eyes sunglasses. As decreed in our Golf R review, we're going to stop taking off-road abilities from our mountain-friendly segment because, you know, we've got the Bronco for off-roading, so that's pretty well covered. The real question is, up here in a snowy environment, can we still get to the store to get firewood and Ben & Jerry's ice cream?
Well, this comes standard with all-wheel drive, which is definitely an advantage in the snow. I didn't see any slippery condition-related drive modes, which is always reassuring to somebody like me. And I do wonder about the low ride height when the roads aren't plowed.
Which to me is just motivation to put this thing on massive knobbies. Yeah, and drive around like some sort of Mad Max style vehicle. Maybe that's the solution. But what do we think overall? Mountain friendly?
Mountain friendly.
Mountain friendly.
I love the mountains.
I will add that I'm a little disappointed that the S3 does not have the cool rear differential, the clutch-based differential that the Golf R has, because that thing gets drift mode. In order to get that in the S3, you actually have to get the RS3, which is a real step up. All of that to say, it's still a very capable vehicle in the mountains. All right, moving on to my favorite segment.
Sweetie Potpourri.
Do you have some thoughts about the standard 10-inch infotainment system?
It's very easy to use. The icons are large. It's color-coded, which is helpful. This track selector and volume selector, I really like. I do wish that they had included a little raised bump on where each track is, because I feel like that would make it easier to orient yourself on it when you are not looking at it.
That's a really good point. A big part of driving safely is not having to look at the buttons you're touching.
Absolutely.
So that tactile feedback is good. And what I will say too is that I would actually prefer a knob down here, but this works okay. You know what this works way better than though? The Volkswagen Golf R that we drove with the absurd slider tech up here. This is a much better implementation. So if you want something with an MQB platform that's sporty and genuinely easy to use, this would be your play. It also includes standard Apple CarPlay and Android Auto smartphone connectivity, and it's wireless, which is super convenient. Pairs nicely with the wireless phone charging. One more screen worth mentioning, the 12.3-inch digital gauge cluster up here. How do you like that presentation?
I like that you can switch modes so you can decide what information is important to you in the screen.
I'll also add to that, even though this is one of the less expensive Audis you can buy, the A3 platform, these screens give it a little bit of credibility as a proper elevated vehicle.
That is one thing I thought about when driving this. It feels like a much more expensive car than it is just because of the screen.
Yeah, if you want to look like a baller, get a big ass screen. Any seat thoughts?
I haven't really thought about it, which is a good sign. I feel like it holds me well enough when we're going around corners, but it doesn't feel intrusive as a sports seat sometimes does.
Yeah, and also add to that this is $1,250 worth of optional leather.
Whoa.
But look at the cool pattern. You get this diamond stitch. Again, if you've got something that's on the like lower end of the vehicle spectrum from a brand, these little touches like this pattern here really make it an elevated experience. Maybe it's worth that $1,250. Oh, and one other thing, we mentioned the commonality between this and the Volkswagen Golf platform. There is a little bit of a feature built in here, this adjustable armrest.
I'm sure you are all about that.
Yes, but you're the lady in charge, so I will put that away because I know you don't like an armrest in your way. One thing I noticed while driving is that the lane keeping assist system is very aggressive. You haven't seen it up here because you're normally not driving at high enough speeds or like going out of the lane, but I have noticed in testing it at freeway speeds, it waits until the last second and then very aggressively jerks you back to the center of the lane. I thought, I don't know if I would have done it that way. Earlier intervention that's less aggressive would be less freaking out to me. May I give you a trim recommendation?
Please.
The Premium Plus trim is probably the way I would go. That adds adaptive cruise control. It also adds wireless phone charging and smart key access. And you know how I feel about smart key access. And I think you're probably getting to that point too.
I've become totally spoiled. I need the keyless access now.
Welcome to my world. As for competitors, we've got on the BMW side, there's the M235 xDrive Gran Coupe. I think I got all the words in there, but if I didn't, on-screen text will correct me. And then on the Mercedes side, the A-Class is the right size, but they don't make an AMG A-Class. So the nearest equivalent of the Mercedes world would be maybe the Mercedes-AMG CLA 35.
There's so many letters and numbers in those that I would just pick this because it would be the only one I would remember. Right,
S3. It's so simple. Let me ask you this. If you could get basically the same car, but with a bit less power, would you do that?
Ooh, how much is a bit?
Like about 100 less horsepower?
Sure.
Okay, well then you should consider the Audi A3. It's essentially the same package, a little less sporty, less power, but a lot of the same notes being hit, and you'd save a bunch of money.
Ooh, I like the a bunch of money part.
Well, I think we've reached some conclusions, but one question that still remains, would Evie drive it? Sweetie, yes, no, maybe so. Would you drive an Audi S3?
Maybe so.
Ooh, maybe so. Tell me more.
Ooh, you're
Traffic sign recognition, you're fine. You don't pay attention to those anyway.
I really enjoyed driving this. Normally, when something is this sporty and elegant, I find the infotainment interface to be really off-putting and non-intuitive, and this feels very easy to operate. So even though it's way more than I would normally spend on a car, I'm tempted.
Oftentimes when you go to a premium vehicle, you wonder, well, what am I paying the extra money for? But in this case, it feels like, there's something there, huh?
It does. I don't know if it's enough to justify the price premium for me personally, which is why it's a maybe so.
We are not in the category of people where we just have so much money that we just buy whatever we want. We have to make this or that kinds of decisions. But yeah, with a little bit more affluence and more YouTube revenue, I suppose, then maybe there'd be an S3 in your garage.
Yes, I really have enjoyed my time in it.
What do you think? Is Evie crazy for saying maybe to the Audi S3? Agree? Disagree with her? Tell us in the comments. Hey, have you subscribed to our channel? If you haven't, please do. At 100,000 subs, we're going to review a windowless white van, and man, that is coming up quickly. If you're curious what we're doing between YouTube videos, you can give us a follow over on Instagram. Let me very quickly thank the fine folks at Patreon. People who support us on Patreon get early access to our videos, and we love chatting with you guys over there, so thank you for your support. I think we've done a great job reviewing the Audi S3. The only thing that remains is the awkward goodbye.